Hi, I'm Pastor Eldren Morrison, pastor of the Varick Memorial A.M.E. Church, New Haven, Connecticut. You're about to go into one of our Sunday morning services. I pray that the worship will be inspiring to you, that the word will be relevant to your life. Please enjoy. Glory to God. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Thankful today that we serve a God who blesses us when He's ready. Doesn't have to ask anybody else. Doesn't have to check with somebody else, but He blesses us when the time is right. And as you've been praying, I want you to know that things are turning in your favor. You can expect what you believe any day now. Thank God today. Any day now. This morning I want to call your attention to Luke chapter 9. As you're finding that, I want to just say that after annual conference, we're going to try something, I'm going to call it casual summer, because the 9:30 and 11:30 worship services are a bit warmer in the building than it is at 7:30, and I'm going to have people can dress a little casualer. Some people call it dress down. I'm not going to call it dress down. Keep your clothes on, but just be casual. Casual. Yes. Just a little lighter fabric, but let's keep it covered, amen. And so, because I know it's warm in the sanctuary, and I don't want that to be a hindrance for worship. And so, starting the Sunday after annual conference, we will begin that, amen. Luke chapter 9, beginning with verse 37. Thank the minister, Sister Fanny, for reading it. The next day, when they came down from the mountain, a large crowd met him. A man in the crowd called out, "Teacher, I beg you to look at my son, for he is my only child. A spirit seizes him, and he suddenly screams, throws him into convulsions, so that he foams at the mouth. It scarcely ever leaves him and is destroying him. I begged your disciples to drive it out, but they couldn't." "O unbelieving and perverse generation," Jesus replied, "how long shall I stay with you and put up with you? Bring your son here." And even while the boy was coming, the demon threw him to the ground in a convulsion. But Jesus rebuked the evil spirit, healed the boy, gave him back to his father, and they were all amazed at the greatness of God. I want to preach when enemies attack. When enemies attack. Let's pray together. Gracious God, we thank you for this opportunity and privilege to be in worship. Now, as we've worshiped you, we now need to hear word from you. Speak to each one of us so clearly, so plainly, until we are better. Yes, until we are changed, leaving here, till we're different than we were when we came. This we ask in the only name that matters, the name of Jesus, who is our Christ. And every believer said, amen. Jesus is walking with Peter, James, and John, and these three disciples are surprised. They are surprised by what they just witnessed with Jesus on the mountain. Verses 28 to 36 of this same chapter records that Peter, James, and John were able to see one of the most amazing sights to behold, second only to seeing the ascension of a resurrected Jesus. They were able to see the glorious transfiguration of Christ. When they arrived at the place of transfiguration, Jesus is exalted, and there is a heavenly radiance. It eclipses his earthly frame. And when the glory finally allows the disciples to look at him, they also see ancient prophetic presences around Jesus. On one side of Jesus, they see Moses. And on the other side of Jesus, they see Elijah. And when Jesus makes his descent off of the mountain, these moments of transfiguration, Peter, James, and John, and he are joined by the other disciples. They get to the base of that mountain, and in that mixture of folk, there is also the Pharisees. There are also those who are following Jesus. And then there are those in that crowd who just want to be in the crowd to see what's about to happen. When Jesus looks at his disciples, he sees the look of spiritual defeat and disappointment in their faces. And with so many people around, you would not know that these disciples are really defeated until the text in verse 38, a father starts yelling over the crowd. And as Eugene Peterson's Message translation captures it, this father starts yelling, "Teacher, please, please take a look at my son. He's my only child." Often a spirit seizes him. Suddenly he's screaming, thrown into convulsions, his mouth foaming, and often it beats him black and blue before it leaves. I asked your disciples to deliver him, and they couldn't. The father is really saying, Jesus, your disciples, they follow you, but they can't represent your power and your presence, at least not in our lives. I tried to bring it to them. They tried, but their attempts left my son in the same condition he was in when I presented him. And Jesus is frustrated again with his disciples for missing the essential elements for attachment to him and his kingdom. He says, what a generation. No sense of God at all. No focus to your lives. How many times do I have to go over these things? How much longer do I have to put up with this? Then he turns to that father and he says, bring your son to me. Verse 42 suggests that while the boy is walking toward Jesus, the demons start attacking him again. Throws him to the ground, goes into convulsions. The demons are displaying how much control they have in this boy's life. Jesus, however, is not intimidated. He is not scared by what the demons are doing. He simply commands the demons to come out of the boy. And notice that Jesus' commands totally ends this boy's suffering. So much so that by the end of verse 42, Jesus presents this boy back to his father, peaceful, serene, and absent from demonic possession at all. Understand this scene here. The Pharisees are there. The disciples are there. People who follow Jesus are there. Others who just want to be in the crowd and have a chance to see what's going on, they are there. And it's easy to see that Jesus is disappointed with those who follow him. He's disappointed at his disciples for their lack of confidence, their lack of faith and power, their lack of consistency to pray right. He's upset with them. He is disappointed that they have an inability to manifest the potential that is given to them as part of the kingdom of heaven. It is easy to see how disappointed Jesus is with those who follow him. And I could easily unpack my tent today and preach about the disappointment of Jesus. But something else caught my attention in this text. As I was studying this week, I saw that the miracle clearly of this text is that a boy is delivered back to his father clean of demons. I know that is the miracle of this text, but I want us to really unpack our tent right next to something that happens in the prologue of the boy being delivered and then being presented back to his father. Look at what happens just before the miracle. The real miracle, yes, is the boy being delivered, but there's some deeper revelation here in something that happens right before the miracle. Jesus says, "Bring me your son." Boy starts walking toward Jesus, and look what the demons do. The demons, when they see the boy moving toward Jesus, the demons throw him on the ground. They force him to roll around, go into convulsions, start foaming at the mouth. In this text, we have a boy who is trying to get closer to Jesus. He is trying to get closer because he wants to experience something different than that which he has been experiencing in his life. You didn't get it. This is a boy who is trying to get closer to Jesus because he wants to experience freedom. He wants to experience liberation rather than being controlled by the bondage of his past. And while the boy is moving closer to Jesus, the enemy that has dominated his life starts attacking him as he is getting closer to Jesus. Some of y'all still ain't got here. The boy, closer to Jesus. The enemy becomes more aggressive in its attack of the boy. And I noticed that it said in the past he's had other seizures. But notice that while the disciples are failing to get him healed, the Bible doesn't say he had a seizure with them. But as soon as the boy starts making his way to get closer to Jesus, that's when the demons get aggressive about attacking his life again. See, I bring this point up because some of us are in church today trying our best to get closer to Jesus, and it would almost have you theologically confused in your life because you think that with as close as you're trying to get to Jesus, you would think that the enemy will be fleeing from you, but the enemy keeps attacking you even the more you get closer to Jesus. And many of us carry doubts, carry the seeds of defeat because of how aggressive the enemy is getting in our lives. I mean, not just yesterday, I mean just this week, not just last year aggressive, but right, and you almost stayed home from church today because of all the hell that you went through this week, and you almost stayed home from church being depressed and wanting to cry yourself to sleep because it seems that the enemy keeps attacking you and knocking your head and beating you down. But I came here to tell you to suggest that sometimes between what you are possessed by and what you are going to be delivered from is a middle ground of responsibility, and the enemy, yes, has attacked you, but you've got to be determined that you're going to get to Jesus and understand that it's attacking you because you're trying to get close. I mean, the enemy is still going to attack your children even though you're praying for them. In fact, the attack is going to move center stage because you are praying for them. You think your marriage or relationship was messed up because one of y'all was acting a fool? Wait till both of you get saved. You're going to see the enemy attack you in ways you never thought of before. So what this text is teaching us is that you've got to know that there are some spiritual expectations that you need to have just before deliverance comes. You can expect that before your deliverance comes, there's going to be a battle between two opposing forces for domination in your life. God has natural law, and natural law dictates whatever you celebrate on this side of God, be it goodness or holiness, be it that which is in heaven, be it purity, be it peace, or some power. Just know those are on the side of God. But you got to understand that there is a corrupted misinterpretation of whatever God represents on the enemy side. That's how you got heaven and hell, good and evil, righteousness and wickedness. Love always fights against hate. There's always this counter side to everything God has established in his created order. To suggest that is to also suggest that while you're on the road trying to get closer to Jesus, you've got to expect that the enemy will meet you on the way. The enemy is not going to let you go from the wickedness to righteousness without a fight. The enemy is not going to release you into holiness when you've been wicked with him for so long. The enemy is not just going to turn you over and just say, well, you let him go and do what you want to do since you're trying to get closer to Jesus. The enemy doesn't even mind you coming to church and hearing and praising God, as long as when you leave church, you forget the word that you just heard while you were in church. You got to know that on this side of your deliverance, the enemy is going to attack you. Just let your kids bring home straight A's. You better pray even harder, because they'll be all right in the academics, and then the attitude starts acting crazy. Look at somebody, tell them, I know that's right. Been married 50 years, celebrating your 50th honeymoon celebration. Cruised out to the Bahamas, cruised right on back. And you think the enemy gonna leave you? No. Your health will start suffering. Got your raise on your job. Got a little bit more money coming in. You think the enemy ain't gonna attack you? Yeah? Your roof will start leaking. Water heater go out on you. Come from the doctor say, I don't need to see you 7 months from now. You think the enemy ain't gonna attack your health? Yeah? Enemy's gonna let you ride right by McDonald's, and you're gonna be even tasting them salty fries and that hamburger and that milkshake, and the enemy's gonna be tempting you to come on in, eat all you want. You gotta know that the devil gets busy the closer you get to Jesus. There's some stuff you got to expect while you're on your way. A few things from text. I'm across the field right earlier today. First, get this. Understand the text. Understand this text so that you'll be able to score the fight right. Look at somebody, tell them, score the fight right. Score the fight right. If you don't know how to interpret what is being released by the enemy into your life, then you will mis-exegete the passage. Exegesis is that homiletical term that means to bring truth out of a text. And many of us will mis-exegete the text of our lives and come out with the wrong interpretation, which is always dangerous, because a wrong interpretation breeds a corrupt imagination, and you'll end up living a jacked up reality because you have mis-exegeted the text of your life. If you look at your life and don't understand properly what's going on, you will never be able to live correctly. If you know that the Lord is up to something, about to do something in your life, and the enemy is becoming more aggressive, some of us will mis-exegete the middle ground of our experience, and we will come out with questions like, what the Lord doing in my life? Why he ain't healed me yet? Why won't God fight this battle for me? Why would God release that into my life? And I've been sent here to tell you that you have got to so submit your life to God that you can interpret whatever you are going through and score the fight right. Because just because the enemy is busy in your life does not mean he is winning the battle. Just because 1 for God and 0 for you. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. The Lord is ordering my steps. That means I'm about to win this fight. Look at somebody, tell them you're going to win. You gotta score the fight right. Listen, this calls for prayer and greater discernment. Many Christians have they've got great ambitions, but got poor discernment. We love Jesus, we worship, we praise, yes. Great ambition, little poor discernment. And I know it because after worship is over, when the benediction is given, reality of life hits you on Monday morning, we forget all that scripture talk. We forget how to pray, and you almost start to doubt that you even met Jesus because our language starts to sound like those who talk about Christ who have never really known him. So it calls for prayer, and part of the prayer is, Lord, give me a spiritual discernment so that I will know when I'm going through what the enemy is aggressively sending into my life to keep me from moving closer to you. I'll be able to interpret it and internalize it and internalize it in such a way, and I'll be able to say all things are still working together for my good because I love God and I'm called according to his purpose. You got to learn how to pray God's word back into your life. You got to pray over yourself. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. You got to pray the Lord will not put more on me than I'm able to bear. You got to learn how to pray. If God be for me, who shall be against me? You got to learn how to pray. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You got to learn how to pray so that in the time of trouble, he shall. If you learn how to pray, then you can lay your head on the pillow at night and say, Lord, it's just another day that you kept me. You kept me from all evil and my mind. Learn how to pray, how to pray. Second thing from this text, get this. Not only do you have to learn to score the fight right, second thing is this. Don't allow the pain of the struggle to really make you quit on the process. I'm borrowing that from last week, the process. Don't let the pain of what you're going through make you give up on the process. Let church say process. What the devil does to us is painful. I know you strong somebody in the Lord. You prayer warrior number 1, super saint to the max. But don't let nobody fool you. What the devil does to us, painful. Painful. Now, as I looked at this text, the text really suggests that this boy does not have to go through this seizure. He wouldn't have gone through this seizure had he not tried to get closer to Jesus. Somebody need get this. Even though he has suffered seizures before in his past, notice there was no seizure when the disciples were trying to heal him. He didn't suffer any seizure while Jesus was up on the mountaintop being transfigured. And there was no seizure while the crowd was down at the foot of the mountain arguing with each other. But as soon as Jesus said, bring the son to me, that's when the devil became aggravated in his life. The seizures came as he moved closer to Jesus. Between the disappointment of his bondage and the celebration of his deliverance, there is this middle ground of struggle in the process. Some of us are excited about prospects of freedom in our lives. Excited about deliverance in our lives. But we can't stand the struggle of the process. Getting my life together, Pastor. Excited about it. But we're stuck in the process. Excited about having a great life. But we got to let stuff go in the process. Oh, y'all don't want to be real with me today. It's in the middle of the process that we have to let stuff go. Ooh, people go. That's the process. And listen, we live in a day where religion and spirituality is pop. Everybody wants you to think that they are spiritual. Athletes, entertainers will get on TV. I want to thank God and my mama. People want you to think they're so, I want to think some high power, but don't you let nobody fool you. Not everybody comes to church because they're trying to get closer to Jesus. Some folk come to network, get a few business connections. Some folk came to church to get a date because they're lonely at home. You meddling pastor, you meddling pastor, you meddling. Some folk come because it's some good music, a good spoken word, it's a good atmosphere. Not everybody comes to church to get closer to Jesus. And for the most part, the current cultural homiletical presentation presents a God that can be manipulated to release good stuff into our lives. So we come because we want God to do something and be something and give us something for our lives. But here's my struggle with the popularized religion. While it's true that God will bless you, it is true that God will open doors and open windows for you. But here's where we misinterpret this thing. The truth is, you will not get any blessing until you go through a process. The truth is, you don't come to holiness without having to walk through some stuff that made you even doubt whether God had his hand on you in the first place. And is there anybody here that can testify that I didn't get the powerful prayer life I have today because my life was a bed of roses? Is anybody here that can say, I have earned the joy I have? I've earned every step in my dance. I've earned every move in my shout. I came through hell and high water to get where I am today. Is there anybody here that can say, I came through some stuff? I know I don't look like what I went through, but I came through some stuff. I came through some sickness. I came through some high water. I came through some time where folk doubted me, but I'm so glad I'm here. I don't get up on Sunday morning with a sermon. I go through some stuff all week long so I can get up here and tell you that the Lord will make a way somehow. That the Lord will make your enemy your footstool. And is there anybody here that came to church on this Sunday just to tell the Lord, thank you. Thank you for bringing me through another week. Thank you for bringing me through the stress of the struggle. The struggle's been painful. The devil been attacking me, but I'm so glad I made it. High five somebody, tell me I made it. I made it. I made it. It's a process, but I made it. The struggle is real, but I made it. I'm so glad I made it. Process. It's a process. Process. You can never leave Egypt and get to Canaan without a process. And let me show you when you've grown in God. It's when you don't say, Pastor, I'm going to wait till I get to the promised land to shout. I'm going to wait till I see Canaan in order to do my... No, you have grown in God when you're able to shout in the wilderness. When you're able to do your dance in the desert. When you're able to give him glory glory even though you're going through. When you ain't got to wait till you see the promised land, but you can go ahead and count victory even in the wilderness times. And the truth of the matter is this: God will never allow you to step foot into the promised land until you learn how to give him glory in the wilderness. And for some of us, it's going to take us 40 years. Look at somebody, I know that's right. Last thing from this text is this: I need to tell you that the enemy is not going to give up on you. Ooh, I know that wasn't a shouting point right there. I know that wasn't. But I would be poor preacher if I just let you leave church today without an understanding that just because you're getting closer to Jesus doesn't mean that the devil is not going to attack your life. The enemy is going to frustrate your plans. He's coming back to blow your vision all over again. He's going to stagnate your pursuits. The enemy is coming in your life to corrupt your greatest ambitions. The enemy is going to distract you from your focus. He's coming to kill your dreams. And let me show you how sneaky he is. The enemy will bring people in your life who will have a positive first impression, but will breed negative outcomes in your life. The enemy is not going to give up on you, and Jesus already told you that the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. I know what you're saying now, Pastor. You going to end the sermon on such a sad point like that? Seemed like you would have gave us that point first. I've been preaching long enough to know that gospel means good news. The enemy is not giving up on you, but don't quit. Don't sit down. Don't throw in the towel. The good news is that even if the enemy doesn't give up, you need to know that Jesus is not giving up on you either. And Jesus is going to be pulling you closer than the enemy trying to pull you away. Do I have a witness in here that the Lord will give you wisdom and power and strength to get closer to him? And don't you know that the Lord will make a way, even if he has to open up a Red Sea so you can walk through on dry land, even if he has to make the sun stand still that you might have victory this day. Don't you know the Lord will make a way? God comes in a situation and makes a door where there ain't even been a door. Do I have a believer in here that knows that you will have victory over every attack of the enemy? Do I have a witness in here that can say, Pastor, I've been through some things. I've been through the process, but thank God I got the victory. I got closer to Jesus. I'm so thankful that I ain't got to come to church with my head hanging down. I ain't got to sit and cry myself to sleep. Is there anybody here that knows that he died on the cross, but early Sunday morning he rose with victory in his hands? And because he's got victory, that means I've got victory.
Well, I pray that you enjoyed the message today. I pray that it touched your heart and your spirit, that it was relevant to your life. We would love to have you here at Varick Memorial Church. If you want to attend our services, please feel free to come by any Sunday morning at 7:30, 9:30, and 11:30 a.m. services. Our church is located at 242 Dixwell Avenue. We'd love to have you here at Varick. God bless.